Welcome back, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking the time to spend a little time with me. I always appreciate that. And got another video here for you in regards to this Madden NFL 19 deep dive for franchise. And we're almost done. I believe there's only one more video coming out after this from me, and that'll probably be the custom draft editor or draft creator, whatever you want to call it. But in this particular video, man, I want to address really quick here the regression and the dynamic dev trait. And for you guys who haven't had a chance to read the blog already, I will just basically read part or maybe the whole paragraph for each one of these, and then I'll give you my thoughts. So starting off with regression, it says at the end of each season, players will regress based on their age and development trait. This year, the regression is much more dynamic, meaning that each rating will have a unique chance of going down. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit, so we'll come right back to that. It says that high development trait players will regress slower than other players, and the age at which the players at different positions start to regress has been adjusted as well. This means that high caliber players have a better chance of extending their careers and climbing their way up the legacy board, I would say, i.e. a Tom Brady. You know, we all know he's in his 40s and he looks like he hasn't lost a step for the most part. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about that part earlier there where it says this year will be much more dynamic, meaning that each rating will have a unique chance of going down. I want to emphasize on that for a bit. But here's the reason why. You know, the obvious things like speed, you know, those are the things that most people feel like players should use, not use, but players should lose as they get older. But here's the thing. The reason why I would prefer these things to be more dynamic is because we don't necessarily know who's going to lose speed. You know, there's players that we can pick out in the NFL that are still fast. You know, are they a little less fast? Yes, but they're not slow. You know, you take a guy like Darius Haywood-Bay, you know, who comes to mind. Obviously, I'm familiar with him being with the Steelers the last several years, or even a guy like Ted Ginn. These guys can still burn. They can still run. They can still fly. You know, Ted Ginn can still stretch the field. Haywood-Bay can still stretch the field. Haywood-Bay, as recent as last year, has still been a gunner on kickoff. So you can't necessarily say a guy like that can't still be fast. But then there's other guys who are obvious that we see in the NFL that lose their speed. You know, we've seen some running backs that's lost their speed, or guys on defense. You know, a guy like Darrelle Revis comes to mind. You know, Darrelle Revis was not the fastest guy in the latter years of his career, right? So I definitely want that to be a little more dynamic. But another thing that I want to talk about, man, it says, you know, each rating. So I want to know which ratings are really going to be affected, because things like awareness, you know, I actually believe that awareness should be something that could possibly go up as you get older. And the reason why I would say that is, think about it. The more you know the game, the longer you've been there, you should be a little more aware about the situation or aware of what's going on. So you could see a guy like a Tom Brady should probably have high awareness. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that I've scanned over this stuff in the previous Maddens. I don't know. I don't know how good or bad it is per se in Madden 18. I just know regression has its issues. You know, even looking outside of my own, you know, gameplay or what have you, I look around, you know, the community, look on OS, and regression has been one of those things that many people have complained about. So we'll have to wait and see. You know, we'll have to wait and see how these things are going to pan out and how it's going to work going forward in Madden 19. But we're going to definitely reflect back to this blog, and we hope that it's going to work the way they're advertising. Now, in regards to the dynamic dev trait, it says here, players' development traits determines how much XP they are earned from training and games. They've updated it this year to normal, quick star, and superstar. It's now much harder to be a superstar than in past years. There are only a few superstars per position, which makes it much more difficult, but traits change more frequently. It says at the end of the season, each player is evaluated on how well they did compared to the rest of the league, and their performance will result in their development trait going up, down, or staying the same. Also says here that superstars need to perform at a consistently high rate or high level and be a statistical leader in order to hold on to that precious superstar trait. I love that. It says further, we have made rookie superstars extremely rare as a part of our generated classes. They're the ultimate reward of the scouting and draft process. Now, I want to go back to what it said there about them being able to, you know, keep what they have go up or go down. That is very, very, very important to me, being a franchise guy, because that adds immersion. You know, that makes you have to get your players involved or get the production out of your players. Because if their dev trait is dynamic, which I know this is something I believe they dabbled with in Madden 18 or 17, I can't remember. And, you know, from what I've seen, it really hasn't worked to, you know, to the point of what they're advertising here. So if you can actually go up, go down, or stay where you are, again, I like that immersion, because now you're really going to see the value of your players being productive, as well as, in order to maintain being a superstar, you got to produce at a high level, and your stats need to be in the tops. You know, you need to be, you know, one of the top guys with the statistical leaders in order for you to hold on to the superstar trait. Again, I love that. I really love that, because even playing, man, right now, you know, even in my offline, you know, I find myself, you know, trying to get players involved, but there's really no adverse action to them not being involved. You know what I'm saying? Like, Antonio Brown is going to be Antonio Brown. He may regress a little bit, but he's still going to be Antonio Brown. To where now, of course, the way it's being advertised, if these guys are producing, then you're going to see them either go up or stay where they are, or there's a chance to lose it. Again, I like that. To me, that creates more immersion, and it makes you have to mix things up to get people involved. Because trust me, if you have a superstar player on offense, you're going to want him to maintain that status. You're definitely going to want him to be involved. You want to feed him the ball. You want his stats to go up, etc., etc. So I think that's something for you to strive for. However, I will say this, and we've seen it in our own personal leagues. I guarantee you, though, what it will cause is in your sim leagues, you're going to have people just trying to spam stats. So it's going to make it a little more difficult for guys, you know, in leagues that have rules. But I can guarantee you're going to see people trying to do whatever they can, running score up and such, to just try to get their guys' statistics. So it's going to be interesting, man, first of all, to see how it's tuned, and, you know, the result of this, how people will behave in the actual league, you know, as far as trying to spam stats or what have you. But that's about all I got on it, man. So all in all, again, man, all of this stuff I still feel is connected. Everything that they're doing seems to have a connection, and that's the way you're going to have to build franchise. You know, if we're ever going to see that wonderful franchise experience that we all hope for, or things that Madden had in the past that will return, which, again, I don't understand why people get so upset about that. If there's something that we love from a prior game or even a prior company, why wouldn't we want that to be in current day? But anyway, if we're ever going to get there, man, I think you have to build it like this. Everything has to make sense, and it has to be cohesive, and it has to function together. So the jury is still out on that. We'll see how everything functions once this game is released. All right, so that's all I got on this particular video, man. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Cut on your notifications so you're fully aware of the next video. And I promise, guys, it will never hurt you to hit that like button. All right, that will do it for this video. But until next time, let me know what you think. Peace.